Hey there, it's Chris, and welcome back to the next part of the Kai Shulin project, where last couple times, remember, we've been working the lower area, for the last like 5 hours or 5 sessions or so, but we're getting close to the end, where last time in particular, if we come on down this way, we started adding the folds and whatnot, which are making it actually look like pants and not just legs going down. However, we do have one slight problem on here, in that right now her pants make about as much sense as, say, Jotaro Star's hat. As you can see that in the side, on the other side, the hat kind of disappears into the hair and he's not really sure where that ends. Well, on here, there's no barrier between, say, where the pants end and like her core and shirt and all that type of stuff begins. So today, our goal is all about getting the belts, getting the straps, getting all kind of those types of things in place and done. So let's get Jojo back off of here. And yeah, let's go and get to it. Let's go move everything around. Camera's in place. There we go. We don't need to see the cord on the webcam. That can get moved off to the side. This is a high-priced production, let me tell you. Okay, so once again, I keep moving these arms up and down. The clay is just getting all sorts of bad up there, but again, that doesn't matter at this point. So first thing you want to do is we want to roll out some clay for this. This is actually going to be a little thicker because it kind of sits on top of everything. So I'm going to start with a 6, and then we're going to go from there. This needs to be rolled a couple times because I'm already seeing air pockets in here. So we don't need air pockets. I can see that kind of Foley stuff. That's what we don't want to see when we roll things out. You see that, you definitely need to go again. Because that happens. That is a part of how this works. So as long as we can get those out, we are good. Now we're making a belt, so we want something not square, but something kind of long and skinny. Now, there are really 3 separate types of straps I'm going for in this, the belt being the main one we're going to see that goes across the front. But if we come on over to this view here, we also have the strap I put on real quick the one day that takes off that kind of starts down here. You can see it kind of wraps around the inner thigh. And if I take this side image and slide it over, you can see it comes from the inner thigh, it comes around, it's wrapping around to the side. And then if we scroll you back, this derpy looking strap, after it comes up here, after it comes up the back, ends at the belt over here. So it just really starts here, it wraps around and hooks up. It, I guess, looks nice until you actually try to analyze what it's doing, and it's really kind of a derpy strap. There's not much to say on that one. It's sometimes you just look at things, and you actually look at what's going on, you shake your head, and you're like, why? That's definitely one of those why type things, but it's on here, so we're going to do it. So all I'm doing is kind of the usual. And this one is thicker than the others. Surprise, surprise. So I'm not going to use the other guy. I'm going to use this guy just to... And if this feels too thick or too thin, I can use it as a template for the others. But we want to be a little bit thicker than these is what we're going for. This kind of seems to fit the bill. And then that's going to go around, bim, bam, boom. And already that definitely makes it feel more like pants, even though it hasn't actually been installed yet. The clay's on the bottom of that, and I know it's on the bottom of that. Now, what I should look at is there are no seams in the back. So really the biggest thing we have is the belt buckle. And you can see on here, that's like where your eye kind of gets drawn to. I'm pointing with the mouse. The eye kind of gets drawn to that belt buckle. So if we're going to make a seam, I'm going to stick it at the buckle. Because that way, if things go wrong, we can't hide it nice or whatever, it will be hidden underneath that. Now, when I did this, I believe I had made this so that all of this stuff was kind of at the top of the pants before when I did my measurements, because I can still somewhat see my mark up here. So I should probably stick with it. So it means you're going to come around. You're going to come around something like that. And I'm not super happy with this right now. Let's get some of the excess off. We are sticking out a little wide, although looking on camera it doesn't look like it's as wide as I'm thinking. But if I want to go there, what I think I can do is take off some of this top pant thing on the side so this can sit just a little closer to the skin. So I can take that off. We're marked. Unwrap you and see if we can't pull a little bit of this off. I wanted, when I put this on, I wanted this to be high enough that it would definitely get to the pants. So I made it like go to the top of the pant. But now looking at the belt going on, it's popping the belt out a little too much. So it's gotta go. Let me not put you down with the other piece so I don't get it confused. Do. All right, come on. There we go. All right, we got that off. Mostly. There's always one little piece that doesn't want to go. Nope. Get down with you. Okay. Now it should be a little easier to find out where this goes, because now I just ride it right above this. And that feels like it's sitting a little bit better now. Yeah, we're not sticking too far out of here. Again, I don't want this to keep getting wider and wider and wider. That's in that very first video, the preview video, that was one of the things I want to avoid, is just getting her wider and wider as this goes. So I'm missing you. Not that this really has to be joined. Again, this part's going to change, but okay, so as is usual, you're in. So I'm just kind of pushing it in just a little bit so it's kind of set in here. And the nice thing is now too, with that on, not only does it actually make pants, which is fantastic for what we're actually going for, is once this is done, I now have the line. I can now shrink this top piece before I do the hardening, which will be really good. I'm not going to do it yet because right now the mass on here is making this really solid, so I can hold it and move around and stuff and kind of manipulate things. But in the not too distant future, that's not going to be the top priority anymore. So okay, so now the usual, I'm just kind of scooching this in just a little bit. All right, I did do a little bit of smoothing of stuff and whatnot after the last video, so hopefully it looks a little bit better. Again, from where I'm sitting right now, a lot of the smaller kind of details like that, just kind of getting in and out, I may or may not see super well. And I know when this is sitting on like a shelf or something in my house, or it's wherever it's going to be displayed at in the end, I'm probably never going to see some of these little individual details. And the closest I'm ever going to get is going to be like maybe 2-3 feet away. That's about it. So I figure I'm going to be looking at it from like way back here would be about as close as I ever get to the thing. But the smoother your details are though, it's going to make painting easier because the paint brush is going to want to go into any kind of weird kind of cracks or crevices you have. So it does help to smooth things out, even if you know you're not going to see them in the end. That said, part of the difference between my models and some of the others who are doing like the 50-hour, like the 100-hour, like 150 whatever hour projects, one who advertise on YouTube, I spent this whole time, made it great, is they're going to spend the time to get all of these little kind of things perfectly smooth, perfectly nice, 100%. And I'm doing it to a point, but I'm not going nuts over getting that 100% smooth. Again, if you're doing your own model, you can go with how much or how little you want to put into something like that. But again, this is being kind of live on video here, I'm trying to always kind of have forward progress being made throughout these. So certain details like that do kind of go a little bit by the wayside in the end, just so you're not sitting here watching me detail this stuff out for hours and hours on end. I do like to move forward as this goes. That said, this is coming after about like 4 or 5 hours worth of working on the legs right now, but at the same time, these legs probably have the most detail of almost any individual section on this model. So once they're done, individual stuff after that should start going a little bit quicker. Rifle might be a little interesting when I get to that, because that's going to be probably carving out of wood. And that might be faster, might be slower, not sure. But we're going to try it. Right now I'm just adding as best I can. Let's see if I can get 3 marks in here to come across. I'm doing as good as I can to make them skinny enough that I can fit 3 marks in here. And I can already see they're not 100% parallel with each other, but I'm doing what I can. Again, I can probably show you techniques and whatnot to do on these types. I'm not necessarily the art person who's going to make the greatest thing in the world ever. But if you can learn techniques and whatnot, my brain is wired more like an engineering brain. I'm not wired like an artistic kind of mindset. So I enjoy the problem solving and whatnot. But actually executing on some of these things sometimes works out, sometimes is, I'm going to say okay. It's not, none of my stuff I think comes out badly, but a lot of it isn't going to be like your AAA, like S-class kind of sculpts going on. Again, I kind of go towards the problem solving side of things, like doing these hoops and whatnot. And sometimes this part works and sometimes it doesn't, and we just move on. Yeah, I'm having problems. That said, my mind is also slightly in a number of different places right now. The race I've been prepping for the ultra marathon obstacle course race over in Killington that I've been prepping for the last like 4 months is now less than 2 weeks away. So I'm modeling this on Labor Day weekend right now, so this actually goes live in just a couple days. But yeah, in 2 weeks I have that to look forward to. Roughly 30, should be about 31 miles, probably about 16,000 feet of climbing, which is going up and down like a 45-story building or whatnot per mile, every mile for an ultra-marathon distance thing, which is going to be fantastic if I can finish it. And yeah, that might mess up my uploading schedule on this a little bit. We're going to kind of play that one by ear as we get there. But because I'll probably, like last time or the Palmerton race I did, I may go and do like a preview video before and an after one after, kind of showcasing how things went and whatnot. And I'm not sure how that's going to fit into either this schedule, the game playing video schedule, or what. So be prepared in the not too distant future, not this week, but the following week, there might be some changes made to the schedule just to accommodate the special event coming up. I'm also hoping I can keep things on track throughout that time so that even if I do that, we can still continue these uploads kind of as usual. I'm taking a day off of work beforehand to do that, and I'm definitely taking one afterwards because, hey, I'm not going to be useful at work afterwards. I'm going to be honest on that. I will be, actually, we don't need to roll this out because now we're going to do those two loops on the back, which kind of connect this to the pant leg thing. And it looks like all they are is just coming down and looping around here. So we just need to make a little snake. It's skinny enough to work, but big enough to be seen. We want skinnier than that. We don't need the whole thing. This is like the ultimate feel like a little kid kind of modeling technique. Just, I think I remember doing that when I was like 6 years old. Still works. It ain't broke, don't fix it. Still works, still does the job. Okay, so let's see. We don't need super much, so let's just start with still probably about twice what I need. And you kind of go right to the corner. It hangs down just a little bit and then comes back up. Nope, 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 nope. Be good, be good. You can do it. That's great, except you're not hanging down. Well, apparently, I thought I was giving you a little extra length, and apparently I gave you the exact length you needed. So that works. All right, so we have that. And with that, that failed miserably. There is a piece that goes, whoop, sorry if you missed literally everything I was doing. There's a piece that goes up top here. That's just a little thicker. And it gets a couple lines that go that way. Okay, so we have one loop over there. Time for loop number 2. Let's maybe actually give myself a little bit more to work with. Probably wouldn't hurt. I can always cut off extra. It's clay, it works that way. All right, that's getting better. Whoop. That's about the same size as the other one. That's not too bad. As I said, we have the extra. We can cut that off. Kind of just tap it down real gently just to kind of set it a little bit. Cut ourselves a little bit extra of this. It goes on top, made it a little long. Get that little piece off. We don't need you. Okay, and then we just kind of actually, it needs a little more than that because it didn't stick out enough. I want that one to stick up, or stick up just a little bit, kind of like the fabric is folding over it and holding this thing in place. It's kind of the effect we're going for. So it needs to have some width. There's a D in there for it to work. All right, and then it gets just a little bit of striation going here. Bam. Okay, So now the back of these kind of legging things, there's a word for that, is in. Let's see, we need a little bit of, I believe this is a number 4, is what I was doing all the other ones at. Might as well work from the back to front here, so let's just... We have a little spot that kind of goes right down the back. You can see right down between the two, there's kind of that little semicircle-ish thing. So we can do that. Okay, width isn't too bad. And it doesn't come down terribly far. Okay, I think my leggings here are actually a little wider across. They could have curved back in a little bit. This is definitely wider than the reference material I was using, but it'll be fine. I won't tell if you won't tell. Okay, so that's back there. As with the other piece, this also gets a little bit of that going, just to kind of give it a little bit of detail. That can kind of hang out just a little bit. I need this here so I can have it hang out while still giving that effect. Okay, so we have that piece, we have those. Moving on to the front. Let's bring you back over. Alright, so what do we have going on over here? We have 2 more of those loops to do in the front. Hold the front part of this. Surprise, surprise. So let's go ahead and do that. Realize I'm looking at the clock and time is flying by right now. So that's... I don't think I'm going to get to all 3 things on here. We might get the belt, we might get the straps. I'm pretty much guaranteed to not get the... a little big. Not going to be able to get the shoe ones on here in the amount of time that I have. But that'll be fine. Okay, so we're hopefully a little longer than I need to be. Let's not run this in the way. Let's bring you up. And you're actually not at the very far corner. You're actually over a little bit. Because when the thigh one, that whatever thigh strap thing, whatever it is, comes in, that actually ends towards the corner. But otherwise, this kind of works the same way as the others. Bring you down a little bit, bring you up. Whoop, not there. Something like that. There we go, that looks okay. Kind of X that one off. I can just reuse the part I just took to... Oh, you're a little big. Or you're a little long, I should be saying. I think size, I think width is okay. Yeah, and that goes kind of in the middle. See if we can make it a little more uniform in size. Yeah, no, race coming up is definitely going to be a thing. I still do not feel at all prepared for it or adequately prepared for it. But at the same time, I am now going injury-free. The tendonitis stuff that I had before, it took about 5 weeks or so to finally work its way out. So at least that's not an issue to worry about going into it. I'm feeling healthy. It's just those hills. Those hills are going to absolutely wreck me, or mountains, I guess they are. They're technically mountains. If we use the definition of a mountain is any geographic feature that is 1,000 feet higher than the surrounding geographic features, then yes, they are mountains. And yeah, upper body should be at least, like I said, non-injured. Whether or not it's going to be strong enough for everything by the end, who knows. Usually my forearms give out by the very end. It's like the last couple obstacles. But then again, the last ultra I did, I really didn't do much upper body work going into it. And that one wound up being over 30, a little over 33 miles. And for the first 31 and a half, I only had one obstacle failure, which was a spear throw that I didn't get on target. The actual, any strength stuff, kind of sandbag carries, monkey bar type things, or barbed wire crawls, that type of stuff. That type of stuff had no problem with. It was just I missed a spear. And that worked for the first 31 miles until like the very, very end. The last couple, like the forearms just kind of gave out. And I really didn't do much upper body stuff going into that one because it was kind of the same boat. I was worried about injury. So I just kind of went with it. And it worked out in the end. I didn't re-injure anything that race, but it is still always kind of on the back of my mind. Like, I don't want to do this. I don't mind doing the races, but I don't want to hurt myself doing the races. Okay, time for arms to go back up at sexy post there. I'm calling it that because, what's it called? The game Lifeline, which was a PS2 game where you came with a microphone and you'd play the entire game talking to your character, telling what to do. One of the hidden commands of that is sexy pose. And yeah, they just go and do like, oh, you mean like this? They do that, and that's it. It's like one of those kind of joke commands. So anytime I see one of these types of things or it goes into that, it's like, oh, well, that's why I keep making that joke when I kind of have the arms doing their thing. It is an interesting game. Never seen that one. It's an interesting game. Look it up online. It's worth it. Alright, so all I'm doing is I'm making a buckle, which is probably, am I going to be too small with this? I want something a little more, yeah, this image kind of has it looking smaller in relation to everything. And here, well, I guess it looks bigger in here just because it's a bright color, so your eye gets drawn to the buckle. Although it feels like it's a little bigger in, yeah, I think it is actually bigger in that one. Are we visible here? We're not even visible on the actual finished model. So that's cool. So you know, I'm going to go just a little bit bigger then. Belt buckle can always be bigger. I think I'd rather have one that's too big than too small, to be honest. Alright, let's get these scraps out of here. Alright, so what are we dealing with on this? So we want to be a little above, little below. We actually are that. We're actually fairly well centered, so I'm okay with this right now. And we're just going to carve this in place. Rather than make the loops and whatnot to get that work, I can just kind of carve this in place and kind of make it how it wants, because it's more of a clasp than anything else. And it looks like the two sides come down. So we have one side there, one side there. Would it help if they were the same size? Just gonna wrap over the... Now when we do these, got to make sure we kind of wrap the top a little bit too, because you can see the line up top. Same with kind of on the bottom. Give a little bit of a cha-ching right down there. Now the top, this kind of top line keeps coming across, it looks like. So that goes through that. And that said, that actually indents just a little bit. So I'm just going to cut a little bit off the top of that, so the top there indents. Yeah, and for all the amount of time we've been spending on doing these lower legs, like doing like the legs and the pants and all this type of stuff, we are still, I think, actually like a session or so ahead of where the Bang model was at this point. So we are actually keeping, or we're probably right about where that one was at this point. So, because I know I went into the first hardening, but then after the first hardening, we did all the pant things. I think that was like episode 12 or so. And I think this is what, number 10-ish? I haven't looked since I uploaded the last one a couple days ago, so a little behind on that. And then once this is done, the pants are actually done, so that's super cool. So in terms of just straight up progress, we are, like I said, either slightly ahead or kind of just where I usually am, kind of with, I think Night Witch 2, when I did that one, even though that one's not uploaded to YouTube, it's very rough, and that was a lot more blogish than I say this one has been. I think the Bang project, I kind of was half blogish, kind of what's going on in my life, and kind of half kind of teaching stuff as I was going. This one, I'm trying to stay more towards just the project itself. Sometimes successful, sometimes not. I do run out of things to say at points. I realize that, you realize that, and that's hopefully okay. But the Night Witch one was kind of very blogish, and it's going to be as interesting it would be to upload that. At the same time, I think it's a little rough because of that. So I don't know. If anyone has a strong desire to see that one being done, just you can let me know in the comments, and I can think about popping that one up. But it is a little rougher, I think, just because of that. But hey, we have a belt. We have a belt buckle. Now there are two more little kind of things that come down the bottom, which I can just do this to flatten it out. That should be fine. Let's see, so we have you going, what are they? They are just, whoop, don't lose you completely. So all I'm going to do is make little kind of squares and just kind of chamfer the edge, or rectangles or whatever. All I need to do is chamfer the edges just a little bit to kind of round it off. I can take that kind of, whoop. We have a little piece that goes down there for some reason. Not sure what this actually is or does, but it's on there, so it's on here. On here. I'm doing really bad at keeping things on camera today. I'm sorry for that. I don't know what this is. And I'm not even picking up and moving her around everywhere, so this shouldn't be an issue. Okay, so we have one. Let's get number 2. realistically, that's about the size I need for number 2, so let's just go with it. Because I did cut the other one after it got popped in. All right, stick to... Yes, I was about to say, stick to this, please. You can go over just a little bit. Okay, so we have those two thingamabobbers in. All right, we actually have... It's actually pants now. It's official. There's a line between this and this. Finally. Progress. Okay, so now it's time to do those two kind of... Let's use a pointy end. Two kind of derpy thigh strap things that wrap around her leg for who knows what reason. What setting am I on this? Because this probably should be a 4? Or a 4 or a 5. You know, we're going to go 5. Give it a little bit of something to it. And this actually has some... Wait, I was on 4 before. Oh, right, that's... I was wondering where the rest of this went. I was like, I thought I had a lot more clay. Yes, I did. Yes, I did. And you're actually at a 6, so I can just run you right through. Because it's going to shrink it just a little bit. All right, there we go. Let's see if we can get these strap things in. Now these are the same width as this guy, and is this long enough to make the trek around? Probably. So with that being the case, I can take you, kind of put you right there. Trace you that way. Trace you that way. Little zoink, little zoink. And there we go. Slide y'all off the side. And let's see if we can get this strap popped on correctly. And actually, before we do this, there is one observation I was looking at before, and that's going to be done better from the back. Where if we come here, if you look at where the black kind of padding stuff beats the lighter colored kind of yoga pants, it just kind of, this here is just kind of sitting on top of the yoga pant part. It's just easier to call it yoga pants than anything else. If you look at that thigh strap thing going on, it's actually indented in a little bit. So that's actually kind of really adhered to it. You can see there's tension on that. So the way I'm going to mimic that kind of look is before I put the strap on, all I need to do is see where I need to start from. I have, on my computer, I have the front view kind of on the side right here, and I can look at now OBS as the back view side. I'm looking at both views right now. I can take this, I can just indent this a little bit first, and then put the strap on top of the indent, and that's going to make it look like it's kind of digging into the skin and everything a little bit. So we start around here. So all I'm going to do is just give a little bit of an indent in that. You can kind of see it being formed. Let's see, I'm coming from here. Now this goes right. Whoop. I just dug into that. That's why we don't have patterning done yet. That's why patterning is the last thing that gets done. Yes, we have to dig in just underneath, and now it kind of starts rolling up. And there we go. Now you can see a little bit of an indent there, so it's going to, when I put the other piece on, hopefully it'll look like it's digging into the skin a little bit and taking the load. In theory. Again, this is my problem-solving side of the brain kind of kicking in, and we're hoping it's actually solving the problem correctly. I'm going to bring you kind of all the way up. It doesn't necessarily. And is that looking like it's doing what I want? The answer is not really. But it was an idea. Okay. Don't twist. Whatever you do, don't twist. Okay. So that came out to there. This gets too much stuff. All right, you come out. There's going to be a little kind of clasp that goes with that together. So, although it would be nice to blend this seam, there is a piece of something that goes over it, and we'll actually blend that. And as with the other, you're going to get a little bit of this going on. I'm like a dog circling his bed right now. Let's go and get this started. Actually, I see it back here. It does look like it's doing its job back there. So the idea may have worked out. I can see we have more smoothing stuff I have to do later on. I feel like a lot of these things are getting kind of rough now. It's going to take a little bit of after time smoothing to get some of these things right. What am I working on? It's this strap. Okay, do we have... Middle is a little harder. Then again, same time, this is a very dark color, so when we get to painting, probably none of this will be visible. Because once again, this type of thing relies on shadow in order to help it read correctly, and black, or variations thereof, tend to be rather difficult at providing a shadow on itself, just by its nature. So, okay, we have more straps going on, so that's good. This is, it's continuing to read more and more like what it's supposed to. All right, so time to do number 2. Here it is. And we're just going to do the same thing as last time. Might as well, rather than use these, assuming what I cut out before was a good straight line, we're just gonna cut out that side. That's not right. Which is kind of fine because we had more than we needed to before. So. Okay, so like the last half inch or so, this is not great, but okay, let's just get rid of this for right now. We have too much random clay sitting around. Okay, got rid of that. I'm gonna put that way back to the side, and we're gonna do the same thing over here. So we're starting about here. And I'm going to bring this over so I can, if I don't hold that in the middle, I'm never going to find it. Again, this goes just underneath. And now after coming around, now we come up. Apologize if my hand is in the way for all of this, but it does help if I can kind of see what I'm doing. Okay, so same as last time, we're going to start from this top edge. Okay, this one definitely feels like it's digging in like it's supposed to, so that makes me feel good. At least it did up until here. I think I lost the line or something over there. Okay, there we go. That feels a little better. Yeah, I think I just lost the line. So bring that over. Boop. That goes in there. Do a little blendy blend. Get you. Re-straighten this out. Realize that I just did that all the wrong. It's like, come on, let's get some steadier hands going here. Steadier hands. We got this. Alright. Alright, well I just did that. I just circled the wagon again. That's cool. Oh, you know what? If I'm right-handed, I should be going this direction. It just feels more natural. Alright, there we go. Progress. Yeah, this part's... I'm not being the prettiest on these lines, but at the same time, I'm not super concerned about it, so I guess... Like, yeah, I'm doing it, but... More stuff that can probably be cleaned up later. I seem to be racking up those types of things that I can go, yeah, we'll get back to that. And we'll see if I ever get back to some of these things. Okay, so now that we have that, we can move you back over this way. And we can see we have these little kind of points that go over that. I got to put that on. Although before we do that, we also have these lines come down here. Alright, well, it keeps going, but for this purpose, this will be fine. All we need is just a little piece which will cover up the intersection between these. It can be very flat. That goes there. That goes there. And on its own, this isn't going to look like much. You're actually never even probably going to see that. But once we get paint on there again, that's going to highlight and look like a little kind of clasp, which will be good. It'll give just enough of a little kind of bling to this. I'll do kind of packing down the edge a little bit. And we have that one there. All right, let's get this side. Now I can finish running these kind of lines off camera. I don't need to run all of this stuff right now. But for the purpose of getting this clasp thing on here, I at least need to get by that intersection. And we're going to do the same thing. I could science this out and use that guy to make this thing perfectly sized and thickness and all that. Or we can just wing it and say, all right, that's close enough. And I think for what I need, I think just saying we're close enough is going to work for this. That in there. Wow, we're almost at that hour mark. So yeah, didn't quite get to the boot straps, so surprise, surprise, will wonders never cease. But otherwise, we have gotten quite a bit on here done nicely. One more thing I want to do, I want to finish off these straps, and that's the top part where that comes in. And we can just kind of figure this whole thing, or this section of it is in the books. Okay, so let's take a little more than we need. Once again, let's move the excess off there, where I'm not going to get in trouble with it. And what this is just a little tiny triangle. So I'm just making myself a little tiny triangle. Oh, and if I would stop dropping it, that would be pretty good. Let's see here. So part of this is, this gets cut back a little bit. Get off. Get off. I need this. Alright. Also, you get cut back just a little bit more. Okay, we're gonna get this to work. Little triangle piece. You can do it. I believe. Nope, 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 nope. Oh, this is the problem with working at tiny scale. Some things want to work and some things just don't sometimes. Okay, but that hooks up there. So that's all good. And realistically, that kind of goes over the edge. So just adding those little kind of straps there makes that look like it goes over the edge. Okay, one more of those. Let's see if we can get this twice. Hopefully, if we can get it twice, let's see if it's a little easier the second time through. Alright, well, we have a little teardrop thing going on. That's almost like a triangle. Okay, that's starting to look triangle-ish. Need to cut you out. Okay, thought I felt something drop. Didn't know what it was. Okay, we need to skinny. No. No, 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 no. Nope, stop sticking to my hand, stick to this. Okay, there we go. Got it, that one's in. That one's in. Move the hand up, the arm up, or whatever. Just a couple of those little marks there, make it look like the strap is going over top of it. We have that there. You can temporarily put those things down. And there we have it. That now looks much, much better, I think. You're gonna have your side, or your arms are gonna come down to the side there. And yeah, this is now looking a lot better. We actually have, just having that belt giving the top of the pants there really helps. We have a little bit that comes down. coming around. So it's really just kind of cleaning up some of these, kind of strap details in. Need to get the straps on the two their boots, whatever, over here. We have the knee guards to stick on, and we have the patterning stuff to do. And the detail on the bottom of this, make this shoe match the bottom of that one and clean that up because it's been sitting on here sometimes, it's been squished in. So it sounds like it's like 5 different things, but it's actually not that much. Each one is relatively quick, except maybe the patterning part. But a lot of the detailing things now should be really quick, and we're pretty much there. We're starting to get a character going here. Not quite there yet, but at least it's starting to get there. And I'm feeling good for next time, because next time might just be the patterning stuff. And then we'll go and do touch-ups, and then kind of get into hardening phase. Almost there. And in any event, until then, until next time, enjoy.